Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney was heckled over his ties to child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein during an election rally.
How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein?
The heckler was removed from the rally as Carney responded, "There's diversity, and then there's diversity."
Did you see Mark Carney absolutely crumble when confronted about Jeffrey Epstein? The political golden boy who's supposed to save the Liberal Party just got destroyed by a simple question at his Kitchener rally, and his reaction tells us everything we need to know. The nervous laughter, the weird language switching, the total inability to give a straight answer. This is the guy the Liberals want running the country? Watch how a single heckler managed to expose everything wrong with Canada's political elite in just 15 seconds. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. The moment that shattered Mark Carney's carefully curated image happened in an instant. 1 second he's standing there, the polished former Bank of England governor, with his practiced smile and rehearsed talking points. The next second, reality comes crashing in with a simple question about Jeffrey Epstein. And just like that, the facade crumbled before our eyes.
How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein?
There's diversity and then there's diversity.
The heckler was removed from the rally as Carney responded, "There's diversity, and then there's diversity."
Let's break down what actually happened in that room. Before the heckler even finished their question, you can see Carney's body start to tense. His shoulders rise slightly. His eyes dart around the room. It's the universal physical response of someone who suddenly realizes they're in danger. Not physical danger, mind you, but the danger of having your carefully constructed image shattered in public. And then came the question itself. The room goes quiet. And what does our economic genius do? He freezes, then forces a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. According to body language experts at Reen Associates, who specialize in interrogation techniques, this kind of forced smile isn't a sign of genuine amusement. It's a mask for extreme discomfort or anxiety. It's the same reaction you'd see from someone trying desperately to hide their true feelings. The nervous laughter that followed wasn't relief. It was a psychological mechanism to release tension. Think about how truly innocent people respond when confronted with accusations. They don't typically laugh awkwardly or flash fake smiles. They express genuine confusion or indignation. Remember when Pierre Poilievre was confronted by that climate protester last month? He didn't switch languages or laugh nervously. He faced the question head-on because he had nothing to hide. But Carney, he did something truly bizarre. He switched between English and French mid-response. This wasn't some bilingual flex, it was a classic deflection tactic. When you're uncomfortable with a direct question, change the terms of engagement. Make it harder for your audience to follow your exact meaning. Create confusion. Buy yourself time to regain composure. For a man who's supposedly ready to lead Canada through economic turbulence, this moment revealed a shocking inability to handle pressure. What's particularly damning is Ezra Levant's direct challenge. Why trust him, Mark Carney, Maxwell's friend, not yours? This isn't just random heckling. It's pointing to specific connections between Carney and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's notorious accomplice. This touches on something many Canadians instinctively recognize. There are elite financial circles where people like Carney move freely, rubbing shoulders with figures that most regular citizens wouldn't dream of associating with. These are the same networks where policies affecting your life get decided over cocktails at exclusive gatherings you'll never be invited to.
Several high-profile individuals, such as Prince Andrew of the English monarchy, former U.S. President Bill Clinton, and Microsoft founder Bill Gates, have been related to Epstein. Recent polls show the Conservatives and the Liberals in a tight race. Some pollsters predict that the Liberals are ahead, while others show that the Conservatives have an advantage. Carney's supporters accused Conservative candidate for Prime Minister Pierre Poilievre and his PR head of framing him.
So what exactly is Carney hiding? What makes him so uncomfortable about this particular topic? We might never know the full truth, but we do know this. A man who loses his composure so completely when faced with an unexpected question isn't ready for the harsh realities of leading a nation. Prime ministers face hostile questions every single day. They face crises that emerge without warning. They have to make split-second decisions under immense pressure. And Carney looked absolutely shook by one heckler at a friendly rally. The man wasn't ready. Not even close. This single moment in Kitchener exposed the fundamental problem with Carney's political positioning. He wants to be seen as the adult in the room, the steady economic hand who can navigate Canada through troubled waters. But when confronted with reality, when forced to step outside his scripted bubble, he simply doesn't have the fortitude to stand his ground. He can't handle real questions from real Canadians. And this isn't just about one embarrassing moment. This pattern of evasion and discomfort extends to virtually every substantive policy issue facing everyday Canadians. When pressed on housing affordability, he offers vague platitudes. When questioned about inflation, he blames global factors rather than domestic policy failures. When challenged on the carbon tax crushing families, he changes the subject to climate emergencies. If you thought Carney's Epstein meltdown revealed his true colors, just wait until you see what happened when Canada's economic future was actually on the line. For all his fancy credentials and sophisticated banker talk, the moment Mark Carney faced a real crisis demanding decisive leadership, we got to see what's really behind those Brooks Brothers suits and Ivy League diplomas. Absolutely nothing.
And we agreed to begin comprehensive negotiations about a new economic and security relationship between our two sovereign countries.
For the first time, President Trump had a conversation with Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney. Trump says following the phone call, the two will have an in-person meeting.
Today, President Trump and I spoke on the phone. We had a very constructive discussion.
When Trump threatened devastating tariffs on Canadian vehicles, the media surrounded Carney, expecting their economic messiah to deliver. After all, wasn't this exactly why the Liberals brought him in? The financial genius who would save Canada's economy? The moment demanded strength, clarity, and a concrete plan. What Canadians got instead was a stammering, hesitant non-response that would make even Trudeau cringe. I think it would be appropriate that the President and I speak, given the action that he's taken. I'm sure it will happen soon, Carney muttered to reporters. That's it. That's the brilliant strategy from the man who supposedly understands global markets better than anyone. No plan, no timeline, no reassurance for thousands of Canadian auto workers whose livelihoods hung in the balance. Just vague promises of a phone call that might happen soon. Watch the footage yourself. The reporters press him for something, anything, concrete. But Carney, just like at the Kitchener rally, crumbles under pressure. He mentions mechanisms for retaliatory tariffs, but then immediately hedges, saying cabinet meetings would be needed and details must be considered. Translation: I have no idea what to do, but I'm hoping this technical-sounding language will make you think I do. The most telling part? After delivering his word salad of non-committal jargon, he just walks off. He doesn't answer the questions from the reporters there. Sound familiar? It's the same evasion tactic we've seen before. When cornered, Carney doesn't stand his ground. He retreats. Even provincial leaders saw through the charade. Daniel Smith, Alberta's premier, didn't wait for Carney's imaginary strategy to materialize. While the federal government dithered, Smith announced he was heading to the U.S. himself to speak directly with Americans about changing course on tariffs. More revealing, Smith exposed that Team Carney wanted him to abandon his post and do nothing to defend his province. That's right. Their brilliant plan was no plan at all. The hypocrisy doesn't end there. While serving as Trudeau's economic advisor, a role he's held throughout years of skyrocketing inflation, housing unaffordability, and economic decline. Carney has the audacity to point fingers elsewhere. Our military is still underfunded under the last conservative government, he proclaimed, conveniently ignoring his own role in current economic policy failures. This is the equivalent of a chef blaming the previous restaurant staff while your current meal burns in front of him. The contrast between Carney's public perception and reality couldn't be clearer. While the media portrays him as Canada's economic savior, look at who actually commands enthusiasm from everyday Canadians. Pierre Poilievre draws massive crowds at his rallies. Real Canadians who show up voluntarily, not the carefully screened, invitation-only audiences at Carney's events. It's telling that the opposition leader, without the backing of Canada's entire media establishment, generates more authentic public support than the Liberals' golden boy. What ties all this together? The same fundamental disconnect that made Carney freeze at the mention of Epstein makes him incapable of addressing Canada's real economic challenges. His worlds, elite banking circles, Davos conferences, climate finance initiatives, have nothing to do with the struggles of ordinary Canadians paying $12 for a head of lettuce or working 2 jobs to afford rent. When confronted with uncomfortable questions at a rally, Carney stammers and switches languages. When confronted with an actual economic threat, he stammers and promises a phone call. The pattern is undeniable. Behind the impressive resume and polished exterior lies a man profoundly disconnected from both reality and the people he claims to represent. So there you have it. A powerful moment of truth that goes far beyond an embarrassing rally disruption. The Kitchener incident ripped away the carefully constructed facade our political elite hide behind. While Trudeau desperately deploys Carney as his economic savior, neither man can face unscripted reality from regular Canadians. The questions Carney couldn't answer in Kitchener are the same ones he dodges on policy, because he has no answers. This is what happens when sheltered elites collide with real accountability. Remember this moment next time they promise solutions. The truth isn't found in their rehearsed speeches, but in those unguarded moments when reality breaks through.